It's time now for business. We say hello to Kate Moody.
Hi, Francois.
And we begin with the story of layoffs at a U.S. company that's long been implanted in France. It used to almost be the darling of American companies in this country. Relations, though, souring when it comes to General Electric on the news of those new layoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, General Electric had already found itself in the crosshairs of the French government for failing to create jobs here. Now it's going one step further as it tries to cut costs and streamline its global operations. More than 1,000 jobs could be at stake. Ellen Gainsford explains.
The announcement didn't come as a surprise, but it was still unwelcome. General Electric is cutting 1,044 jobs in France, mainly at a gas turbine operation in Belfort in the east of the country. French unions had long feared this outcome.
If there are more job cuts, then the site is in danger.
There's a lot of know-how here. It would be shameful to lose it.
General Electric currently employs nearly 4,000 people in Belfort, including 1,900 in its gas turbine operations. The job losses would account for a quarter of the workforce. The company says sales from the plant fell by 50% in 2018. In recent years, General Electric has struggled with a drop in demand for its gas turbines, in part down to low oil and gas prices, a major factor in its huge annual loss of $22.8 billion last year. The redundancies are part of a wave of European layoffs and cost-cutting measures. Earlier this year, General Electric was fined €50 million by the French government after falling short of its goal to create 1,000 new jobs in France. The company had pledged to create the posts by the end of 2018 as part of its deal to purchase the power and electrical arm of French firm Alstom.
Well, the French government has said it will fight to save the Belfort site and as many jobs as possible. It's making similar pledges about the possible merger of Renault and Fiat Chrysler. The auto giants are considering a tie-up which would create the world's third largest car maker. Renault chairman Jean-Dominique Senard has traveled to Japan to discuss the implications with its alliance partner Nissan. The French government, which holds a 15% stake in Renault, is seeking guarantees about local jobs in exchange for its support for the deal.
The guarantees we want are, first, the preservation of industrial jobs and sites in France, second, the Renault-Nissan alliance, third, governance, and importantly, fourth, that the future operation commits to the development of electric batteries in Europe.
Let's check in on the day's trading action now. The major European indices closed lower, weighed down in part by the mounting tensions between Rome and Brussels. The Italian government, fresh off a strong showing in the European elections, says it's ready to fight an expected fine from the European Commission over its spending plans. Stocks in Milan down about 0.5 percentage point on the close. Wall Street's fairly muted as it resumes trading after a long weekend. Investors had been watching Donald Trump's suggestion that a trade truce with China would come, but that it was not imminent. Banking shares are down as the yield on U.S. Treasury bonds dropped 2% to its lowest level in a year and a half. The Nasdaq up about 0.5 percentage point this hour. Well, the city of Houston, Texas, is trying to reduce its dependence on the oil industry. The local economy took a hit when global oil prices plummeted in 2014. It's now trying to diversify with a new focus on tech and healthcare industries. Yuka Royer reports.
It's like a town in itself. The Texas Medical Center covers 5 square kilometers, housing dozens of hospitals, clinics, and medical schools. With 10 million patients treated every year and about 110,000 employees, it's the largest medical complex in the world, and it's still growing.
What we saw in 18, and we're predicting stronger even in 19, we've seen healthcare jumping forward.
The health sector is now the biggest employer in the state of Texas, accounting for 11% of its workforce, compared to 8.6% in the energy sector. This as the state, and in particular the city of Houston, have been trying to reduce their dependence on oil to better cope with future supply gluts.
Houston has moved away from the oil curse because we've diversified so much over the years, such that if oil returned to $30 a barrel, yes, the Houston economy would be impacted, but not as much as we had seen.
America's 4th largest city has also made a foray into the tech sector, launching a startup hub called Station Houston 3 years ago.
Our mission is to transform Houston into a world-leading technology and innovation capital. And so we do that by serving entrepreneurs,
The centre provides working and meeting spaces for around 180 budding companies, though the goal of becoming a tech capital seems like a tall order against rivals such as San Francisco and New York. It's also hard for the state to cut the umbilical cord. 40% of startups at Station Houston is linked to the energy sector.
A lot of cities and indeed countries, Francois, all trying to move away from oil.
All right, we'll see how that works. Many thanks for that, Kate Moody. We'll have more business news for you later.